Busyness is the enemy of reflection, and reflection is essential to resting in God. Life is busy. Regardless of your season of life, busyness sneaks up on us all as a mixture of responsibilities, commitments, hobbies, and activities. And so if busyness is the norm, how then do we access the crucial practice of reflection as a way to rest? The answer? Practice healthy escaping. That may sound strange to modern ears used to a stream of noise and notifications demanding their attention and response. It also may sound strange to the Christian who is sincerely trying to live out an obedient life before God. Escaping may sound like opting out of responsibility and carrying out the right actions and engagements. Consider this though. Escaping is one of the things Jesus himself was known for. Escaping specifically marked his practice of prayer. We only have snapshots of all that Jesus did in his early life, but the gospel writers take note of moments when Jesus went out to an isolated place, like in Mark 1:35, or disappeared from his friends for an extended period of time. After sending the crowds home, he went up into the hills by himself to pray. Night fell while he was there alone, like in Matthew 14:24. Another practitioner of escaping worth considering and studying deeply is King David. Read any of his 73-plus authored Psalms and you will see a man who made a habit of escaping and reflecting, the results of which are profound insights and pictures of God that have comforted and inspired Christians for centuries. And here's the interesting thing about David. He wasn't a monk or a mystic wandering the desert in silence. He was a shepherd, soldier, and political leader, king of Israel. He was busy. His life was filled with innumerable responsibilities and stresses. And yet, we have proof of his consistency in escaping for reflection via his many poems, prayers, songs, and confessions in the Psalms. David's life shows us that the way we confront the busyness is by healthy escaping. In David's context, busyness looked like the flocks of the sheep that needed tending to, wartime assignments and posts that needed organization, and geopolitical trade deals that needed completion. How did David find time to reflect? He chose to momentarily escape the busyness of life and simply seek God. So how do we find time to reflect? We mimic what David did. We copy what Jesus so often did. We create intentional space to seek God. The world won't stop for you to reflect, but you can escape from the world for just a bit. Jesus and the greatest king in Israel's history did it. It's not complex, but it is challenging. Take a moment to reflect the different commitments and activities you have going on in your life. As you consider these things, you may feel worried. You may feel tired, as if it's impossible to stop anything you have on your plate. But that's okay. This is simply a time of reflection. Offer those feelings and concerns to God. King David himself said, "I pour out my complaints before God and tell him all my troubles. When I am overwhelmed, you alone know the way I should turn." Escape, reflect, and find rest in God. When we escape from our busyness for reflection, a secret space opens up for us, one of experiencing God. And here's the thing about rest. It's not merely physical or mental. It's also spiritual. In order to find the true rest God has for us, our inner life also needs tending to. Psalm 27 displays this. In the midst of David's busy life, he makes time to pen this vulnerable, even mystic entry. In order to access this type of thought and reflection, David had to step away. There's no signs of multitasking with this type of content. David escapes to reflect. In Psalm 27, 1-3, King David expresses concerns he has about enemies, opposition, and safety, and how God offers him protection. "The Lord is my fortress, protecting me from danger, so why should I tremble?" After David puts his thoughts of concern forward, he writes, "The one thing I ask of the Lord, the thing I seek the most, is to live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, delighting in the Lord's perfections and meditating in his temple." This is the unseen stuff. This declaration does not highlight worldly delights, wants, and needs. Instead, it's an expression of wanting to experience God. Have you ever thought of God this way, as a source of hope and someone to find deep delight in? It's the declaration of deep inner desire that leads David to a place of assurance that God will protect him and meet his needs. Two things that often hold us back from rest. This is why reflection is so essential. It brings up the stuff inside that worries us and holds our concerns. If we, like David, reflect on who God is, we'll find deep rest for our needs. Lastly, here's where things get experiential. In verse 8, David says, "My heart has heard you say, 'Come and talk with me.' And my heart responds, 'Lord, I am coming.'" David records a sense of invitation from God to talk. Stop for a moment on this point. This is a picture of a God who interacts with us, not a distant God or some far-off idea. This unique sense of invitation to experience God is available to us when we practice healthy escape. Busyness and concerns are inevitable in this life. David begins this psalm with the stuff that's on his mind, his safety. But because he has escaped to reflect, and because he has lifted his concerns to God, he's found the secret place, experiencing God in a deep way and having a peace in the depths of his soul as a result. God is with you in your busy life, and he also invites you to come away and talk with him. Escape, reflect, and find rest as you give your concerns to God and experience him in profound ways. May you find quiet, safe space away from the busyness of your day to reflect and experience the God who desires to give you deep rest.